Hey, Dan here, and in this video I'm going to answer two different questions about ENFPs and building a business or career that's really well suited for you. So the first one was a comment on one of my other videos about a good careers for ENFPs, and it was, what is a good career within these guidelines that has to do mainly with travel? I can't seem to figure it out. And so the question is basically, how do you work within travel? And what I would ask you is, do you want to work about travel or do you want to travel? Because there are many travel agents sitting in a flight center somewhere, travel agency, right, that haven't been across, to another country in a couple of years. They just basically are working in an office helping other people travel. Now, of course, if you are a travel agent, you get more perks. It's going to be a little better than not being one, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll have a lot of travel. So that would be my first question is, if you really just want to travel but not necessarily be in the industry, then I would look at something like what I teach about freelancing, building your own business where you can work from anywhere, something like that, because you don't have to be related to travel to actually be able to travel, right? It's more about just setting up your business or your career in a way that gives you that freedom. Now, if you want to live abroad for maybe 3 months or 6 months at a time, there's a lot of different things you could do. I always thought being a tour guide would be a lot of fun. I've even thought of doing it in different cities I've lived in just for kind of entertainment's sake, where like you get to come up with like a 1 or 2 hour tour and tell all these stories and meet new people every day. I think that would be very cool, and it would be something an ENFP would be great at, because you would be connecting with people, you'd be entertaining them, you'd be telling stories, using your communication skills. And of course, as a tour guide, you can probably have a crappy job where you don't earn much money, but you could also be earning a lot of money, I'm sure, doing it as a business, charging people a good rate because you have the best tour in the city, that sort of thing as well. What else could you do within travel? I think something around like a travel assistant could be very interesting. This is something that I've thought about trying to find someone to hire. It's a bit of a unique job, I'm sure. But you have a couple options if you're someone like me trying to book travel. You can go to a travel agency where they are a bit biased because they get commissions from different people and they're more looking at where they're going to earn their commission to some extent. And generally, people who use travel agencies, most of them are doing sort of cookie cutter tours. Like, I want to go to Mexico for 2 weeks or something like that. So if you're looking for a really like interesting creative trip, they're probably not going to be great for you. And the other option is like concierge services. Like my credit card has a travel concierge where they'll book things for you, but they're more like a travel agency where they're just like, okay, I'll look up a hotel and book you a hotel, that sort of thing. I've never been able to find a service that offers this kind of creative like travel planning that I would do for myself, like piecing together multiple flights, finding really creative ways to have like a 2-day layover and mixing up different kinds of housing. Like sometimes I'll stay in a 4 or 5 star hotel and sometimes I'll stay in an Airbnb or in a hostel, depending on what I feel like for that trip. That could be a very cool service. The other thing I would look at is careers that you would generally want to do that happen to involve a lot of travel. Now, unfortunately, with video conferencing and basically free long distance now, there's less and less careers where you do just travel for your work. 30, 40 years ago, it was very standard, right? If you lived in Canada and you had a client in Japan or Germany, you would fly there for a meeting at least once or twice a year and you got all this free travel. That happens less and less now because companies are looking to save money, right? And just do video conferencing and that sort of thing. But it still does happen. So looking at a career, like let's say you wanted to be a trainer, like a group training for companies or organize workshops or things like that. You could do that in a way where you work for an organization that sent you all over the world to visit their different clients or that sort of thing. So there's two ways to do this. One is just do something really travel related, like I said, a tour guide or like a kind of travel planner person. Or the other is just find a normal job that happens to have a lot of travel built into it. Of course, doing your own thing and having that freedom is usually what I would recommend as my #1 option as well. The second question is, as an ENFP, how did you finally find something to focus on? I end up doing different jobs because I can never stick to a business idea. Good question. So it's going to take you some time. That's my short answer. As an ENFP, you'll likely want to change direction sometimes, and that's okay. But what I would recommend, the way to do it strategically is whatever job you get or whatever business you start, try to build skills that you can use in the next thing, right? So, for instance, I worked as a freelance copywriter for many years, and I really enjoyed that. It was closer to what I was meant to do with my life than what I did before. One of the things I was doing before was as a mortgage planner. And that had some elements I liked. I learned how to sell, I learned how to do presentations, so I built skills, but I realized it wasn't for me. And then as a copywriter, I got closer to what I enjoyed doing. I was using my creative abilities, projects were challenging, I got to work with entrepreneurs, but it wasn't quite the right fit for me. So I then continued on, right? But in that, I built the copywriting ability. And copywriting is writing to market or to sell, which is a very valuable skill for any kind of business owner. So each of these different things I did, I learned what I didn't like, I learned about things I did enjoy, and I built a skill. And that's what I would really encourage you to do. So let's say you look over 10 years. I don't know how old you are now, but look at someone who is 23, right? Say they're going to have 5 jobs before they're 33, where they change every roughly 2 years, which is more and more common now. In each of those jobs, your next job should be closer to what you want to be doing with your life, like your life's work. And you should be developing a skill. So over 10 years, you will have developed 5 really strong maybe skills, maybe 10, maybe you're learning different things in each business, right? More than one skill, I would probably hope. And each time you're getting closer and closer to what you're meant to be doing, your life's work. Now you might stumble upon your life's work, on your first career or your second career choice, right? And doing things like personality tests and personal development, working with coaches, all this stuff can help accelerate that. But the big thing I would leave you with is whatever you are doing, make sure you're developing skills you can use elsewhere, and make sure that you're doing something like whenever you do a job or start a business, if it doesn't work, look at what you liked about it and what you didn't like about it, and then make sure to apply that to the next thing you're doing so you don't repeat your same mistakes, so that you're getting closer and closer to your target each time. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this as an ENFP, you have your own comments to share, your own answers to these questions, so I encourage you to share those below in the comments. If you aren't already a subscriber, do subscribe to the channel. I do lots of videos on personality type, on careers, on entrepreneurship, and all kinds of other good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.